everyone. This is Alissa Coram here, live from CES 2017 at the Sands Expo. And here with me, I have TechCrunch reporter Jordan Crook. How's it going?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Okay, so you must be a CES expert by now. How many years have you been coming to the show?
I think this is my 6th year.
All right.
Yeah, so plenty. Enough.
Exactly.
Let's say it that way.
Yeah. So as far as this year goes, how would you compare it to prior years? Is there any particular segment that you've noticed is really impressing you compared with last year's show?
Yeah, I think that something that we're noticing is, IoT has been a word that's been buzzing around for a really long time.
Right.
And it actually hasn't meant anything until recently. And that will continue to be true, more and more true. And the reason for that is that artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning, the software evolution that's been going on, is empowering these connected devices to do things way better than they did before. And a good example of that is the Amazon Echo. So it's smart enough to become kind of a connective tissue or language. So instead of going into your phone and clicking through on 10 different apps to control your blinds or your fridge or your lights, you can
all
just
in
talk.
one area.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so we'll continue to see the connected home and smart home evolve as part of that AI evolution.
Speaking of Amazon Alexa, what do you think of this NVIDIA spot that was announced just the other day?
I don't know what that is.
All right. Well,
I missed that.
So at the NVIDIA keynote, the CEO announced this kind of wall plug-in speaker that you use the Google interface, the OK Google.
What a battle,
right?
right?
Exactly. So basically just more entrants in this space. So what about some other areas? You had an article earlier about pregnancy wearable.
Right. So wearables are an interesting one because we haven't seen as many lately in the traditional sense of like a wrist-worn fitness tracker. But what we are seeing are like really niche uses of these. So like one is this pregnancy tracker where it can track your contractions. And most women will go into like false labor or they'll have Braxton Hicks contractions, and for first-time mommies or high-risk pregnancies, they don't know what all of these weird sensations mean necessarily, and this is a good way to kind of let you see that in real time. Okay, these aren't getting more frequent, they aren't getting more severe, no reason to panic, this is just my body prepping for labor. And what's cool about that is on a large scale, if you have 1,000 mommies using this, that's data that a hospital or a researcher never has at their fingertips, a day-by-day look at what's going on in the womb during pregnancy, and that's a really important thing for preventative medicine, et cetera.
Exactly. So of all the interviews that you've had so far at CES this year, which one has been your favorite?
Well, I got to interview Fitbit's James Park. He's the CEO of Fitbit. And what's interesting about that is that they, at the same time, have the fastest selling fitness tracker, the Charge 2, and they are at an all-time low in terms of their share price.
Yes.
So it was an interesting interview because they're both in a great spot, and they're also in the middle of this massive evolution when it comes to fitness tracking and wearables. And so I got to kind of peg him on what's going on with the company exactly.
And so what did he have to say? The reason for, as far as an investor perspective, the company is not doing too well, but they're a market leader.
Exactly. And part of that has to do with execution. They're a small company and they have lots of data, but you can't, when you go public, you don't have the opportunity to kind of wiggle at all. And if you say you're going to have a product ready for the holidays and it's not, that's a big deal. And that's exactly what happened to them. But at the same time, they have this layer of software and they're kind of getting into, because right now when you wear a fitness tracker, you're getting a sheet full of numbers that says, oh, you've taken this many steps and climbed this many flights. That means nothing, right? But if you could say, hey, this will make you feel better at the end of the day. If you
something
do this,
actionable.
Personalized, actionable, proactive. And that's what they're kind of focusing on. And I think that's going to be big for them.
Because they revamped their app, right?
Exactly. And they've got like a new social feed. They've got all these partnerships where you can, sign up with health insurance and they can see your progress with your fitness and maybe give you a discount on your health insurance. So they're really trying to, bring as much value as possible outside of the simple hardware.
Right, exactly, and maybe try to decrease the number of people who maybe buy a Fitbit and then a couple months later stop using it.
And that happens so frequently with these companies, and it's not the worst thing in the world because people are still buying it, but you want them to keep using it, you want them to be loyal to your brand, you want them to buy the next version, and the only way you can do that is through software, it's not the hardware.
And what do you think about the competition that they're facing in this space? Obviously, Under Armour, we have the keynote coming up later today. They have their whole connected fitness array of products in their app. So how does Fitbit kind of feel its way in this crowded space on both the tech and hardware fronts?
Yeah, so what's interesting is Fitbit actually went into a huge lawsuit with Jawbone, and there was a lot of discrepancy because Fitbit said, oh, don't worry about that anymore. We're going to cancel this lawsuit. And Jawbone was like, yeah, but you depleted our funds. Like, the reason we're filing for bankruptcy and you don't want to sue us anymore is because you kept us in court, right? So they're definitely serious about competition, even though they don't necessarily act like they are. And then they have it coming from both angles. You have the Apple Watch, right? And you have the iPhone, which tracks your steps anyway.
Yes.
And then on the lower end of the spectrum, you have these new companies like Motive is a new ring wearable. And instead of tracking your steps, it tracks your active minutes. So it's a much more digestible statistic for an end user to say, oh, I've gotten to my 30 active minutes today. I'm just going to keep wearing it. It goes with any outfit. So they're feeling it from every corner. And it'll be really interesting to see how in 2017 they deal with that.
So TechCrunch has the Crunchies, your award show, coming up in February?
Yeah,
correct?
February 6th. We're
All
very
right.
excited.
So is there anyone on the list who's here that you would like to point out in the running for an award?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm trying to think of who our hardware finalist is. You know, this is like the thing that I work on for a month, and you ask me, and I'm like, what am I actually doing? Here at the show, what we're focused on is actually our hardware battlefield, and I would encourage anyone who's here, or if you're not at home, to please tune in, because we have some amazing startups. There's a wearable sock that'll let you track, if you're a diabetic, those hot spots where you may have to amputate your foot. It can read that immediately and tell you, hey, you got to go to the doctor right now. We have a little box that you can use to test for malaria, and it's reusable, and it only takes 30 seconds to do it. So instead of using a syringe and a pair of gloves and 30 minutes to test someone in sub-Saharan Africa for malaria, you can do it in a reusable way in 30 seconds flat. So that's incredible. Like I said, the baby tracker is really cool. There's an amazing new 3D printer. So lots of really cool tech coming out of the hardware battlefield.
That's right, and thank you so much for giving us your highlights for the show. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and thank you all for watching. And for further live updates, make sure to subscribe to our live notifications on Facebook. We'll see you in a little bit when we roam the floor and maybe find some other cool wearable or robotic tech out there for you. Thanks.